Hi Amy, today's Sunday, March 17th, and today I'm going to talk to you about 5 of my favorite books. But, I'm not really sure that the circumstances of my environment are quite fancy enough for us to have this conversation. There we go. Much better. So, without any further ado, I will now tell you about 5 of my very favorite books. First up, David Mitchell's Cloud Atlas. I hear my father-in-law's response. Naive dreaming Adam, he who would do battle with the many-headed hydra of human nature must pay a world of pain, and his family must pay it along with him, and only as you gasp your dying breath shall you understand your life amounted to no more than one drop in a limitless ocean. Yet, what is any ocean but a multitude of drops? Okay, so one of the awesome things about Cloud Atlas is that it's not really one story. It's actually 6. And even though some of the characters are in multiple stories, they're all so different. They take place in such different places as a ship traveling across the Pacific Ocean in the 1800s to a high-tech dystopian Korea in the future to, modern-day England. Not to mention a post-apocalyptic Hawaiian community. And the genres just range from everything. There's romance and action and fantasy, and it's just a great adventure, and I absolutely adore it for all of the different places that it takes me, and that's what, reading does. It takes you to places, and if you want to go somewhere, I highly recommend Cloud Atlas. Next we have Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Algernon. And they talked about politics and art and God. I never before heard anyone say that there might not be a God. That frightened me because for the first time I began to think about what God means. Now I understand one of the important reasons for going to college and getting an education is to learn that the things you believed in all your life aren't true and that nothing is what it appears to be. This book is heartbreaking. It's also written in a really amazing and unique way. When I first read it, I was in a real reading funk. Nothing I picked up interested me, even though I knew it was going to be a great book. But out of the blue, I found Flowers for Algernon, and I read the first page and I was gone for the rest of the day. It's really fascinating because it's told by a mentally retarded man who undergoes this experimental surgery to try and raise his IQ, and of course it works. And so you watch as he writes down logs about his everyday, and you see the transformation before the doctors do, before he even understands what's going on, just by the way that he's writing. Not to give you any spoilers or anything, because I personally hate spoilers, but of course, all does not always go well, so it goes into heartbreak territory pretty quickly. But then again, there is nothing so sweet as a very heartbreaking book. Thirdly, Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's Good Omens. This proves 2 things. Firstly, that God moves in extremely mysterious, not to say circuitous ways. God does not play dice with the universe. He plays an ineffable game of his own devising, which might be compared from the perspective of any of the other players, i.e. everybody, to being involved in an obscure and complex version of poker in a pitch-dark room with blank cards for infinite stakes with a dealer who won't tell you the rules and who smiles all the time. Secondly, Earth's a Libra. Good Omens is a fantastic, funny book about an angel and a demon who are just trying to avert the apocalypse, but unfortunately they have misplaced the Antichrist. As you do. The writing is just so surprising and hilarious, and I can't recommend it enough to everybody. Past a certain age, I guess. Fourthly, Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. The studio was filled with the rich odor of roses, and when the light summer winds stirred amidst the trees of the garden, there came through the open door the heavy scent of the lilac, or the most delicate perfume of the pink flowering thorn. I gotta tell you, anytime I read the first couple of pages of this book, I feel like I'm in some kind of heavenly summer paradise, just floating away, and there are no problems at all. And then I keep reading and I realize, oh yeah, we got problems. Basically, local pretty boy Dorian Gray realizes that his beauty is everything, And if he ever grows old and, doesn't have a pretty face anymore, he's going to kill himself. So he basically inadvertently sells his soul to the devil, we presume, to make his painting, painted by his friend Basil, or Basil. Well, you'll find out. Just read the book. And last, but certainly not least, Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. When enough years had gone by to enable us to look back on them, we sometimes discuss the events leading to his accident. I maintain that the Yules started it all, but Jem, who is 4 years my senior, said it started long before that. He said it began the summer Dill came to us, when Dill first gave us the idea of making Boo Radley come out. To Kill a Mockingbird is a classic American novel about compassion, about equality, and about growing up. I read it when I was a junior in high school, and I had just started to get a really renewed sense of urgency about reading, and I was absolutely crushed when it was over. And I think that's a good thing, feeling so affected by something so deeply. Everyone ought to read To Kill a Mockingbird. It is my favorite. And then see the movie, because the movie is classic also. Such good books. They even vaguely color coordinate. Look at that. Keep in mind, as the great poet John Green once said, I don't have one favorite book, I have hundreds. I could recommend to you a lot of books. Not to mention the fact that there are so many books in this world that if heaven exists, it better be a giant library where I can read everything that I missed in my lifetime, because I have so much to read. What about you, Amy? What are some of your 5 favorite books? I hope you've had a smashing time in London, which I can't imagine that you didn't, and I'll see you on Tuesday.